Welcome into Vandy on SI. I'm Joey Dwyer here after Vanderbilt basketball's 89-67 win over UAB. And Birmingham didn't make the trip tonight, but we've got plenty of information for you. We've got takeaways. Covered it just like we were watching it. I had some eyes in the gym. We had Kevin Ingram on the Vanderbilt radio broadcast as well. We've got everything we need to give you a little post-game reaction. Story of the night. Vanderbilt did everything it was supposed to tonight, and UAB, a team with a lot of turnover, lost its best player, doesn't really have anybody back of note or anybody that gave it anything last year. So to be expected that Vanderbilt goes out and wins by a lot. But with that considered and with that said, I think Vanderbilt had all the signs of a team that could be really good based off of tonight. In particular, offense was high-powered. Everybody really did their thing. Duke Miles, 22 points. Frankie Collins, 8 assists. Tyler Tanner, 13 points. And then the real numbers here, 5 for 8 from the field, 3 for 4 from three-point range. Jalen Washington with 10 points. A.K. Okereke with 10 points as well. 4 double-figure scores for Vanderbilt. Had some real scoring runs. Really outpaced UAB in the second half and blew the thing open after halftime. A big night for Vanderbilt's offense in particular. But again, also heard down the stretch of the game that Vanderbilt's defense really made things hard on UAB, forced a lot of turnovers, wreaked a lot of havoc in that way. But also that it manhandled UAB at times. And the rebounding was really the only thing in the first half that I think I took exception to. UAB did a lot of good things to Vanderbilt on the glass, and then it felt like Vanderbilt's size and physicality kind of won out. Mark Byington at postgame on the radio described UAB as a team that was shorter and a little bit smaller but faster and quicker. Vanderbilt seemed to be up to the test. To me, the most pressing individual story of the night, Duke Miles, 22 points on, 7 for 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from three-point range, got to the line 7 times, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Duke Miles, a really, really nice night for Vanderbilt, and that's 2 exhibitions in a row in which he's been the best player on the floor. You could just tell he took the game over at times tonight. I thought he was dominant in stretches and really filled it up in a lot of different ways. Duke Miles, though, really stellar performance in a lot of ways, and it's hard to know what exactly to make of it because I do think he's better than he was at Oklahoma a year ago. I don't think there's any question that Jeremiah Fears, being the lead guy there and the guy who really ran the show, maybe took away some of the things Miles was capable of. And it's not a knock on Fears or anything at Oklahoma, but I also think it's when there's a guy who's running the show pretty clearly, there's going to be guys who are cast into roles that maybe they're above in a lot of ways, and I think Duke Miles was that. Now, do I think Duke Miles is necessarily a 20-point-per-game guy? Like, he's been through these 2 games where his efficiency is remarkable and he's taken over the game. Not really, but he could be closer to the lead guy than maybe we thought he was initially. I think there's certainly credence to that thought through the first 2 exhibition games. And again, exhibition games are exactly that, exhibition games. So we'll find out a lot more once they get into non-conference play, once they go to the Thanksgiving MTE, once they get into SEC, ACC Challenge, things along those lines, we'll really see. But Vanderbilt seems to be all right with handing him the keys at times and kind of letting him take over the game. I think that's a big deal in a lot of ways, and it's probably there we go. It's probably more indicative of what they're trying to do with him than maybe even his numbers are at this point. The shot attempts were more drastic than maybe I thought. I didn't know that he would get up 13 shots tonight or whatever he did in the first game. Tyler Tanner, though, I think another story. I buy every part of Tyler Tanner playing like this, and who knows what the ultimate three-point percentage ends up being, but I think it's just so much different when you're in rhythm of the game like he is nowadays relative to what he was last year, where it felt like guys were kind of stepping on his toes, or he was trying to not to step on guys' toes. A.J. Hoggard, Grant Huffman, 2 fifth-year point guards. Tyler Tanner comes in as a freshman, obviously had a role to play. Mark Byington obviously trusted him, yet I don't think he really ever fully showed off his skill set. You see the Brentwood Academy tape, and that's different. That's Nashville private school stuff, right? But he's putting it on the floor, he's getting to the basket, and having crazy finishes. He's really in guys' grills, and you saw that part of his game last year. That really extended to Vanderbilt pretty easily. Now I think you're starting to see a little bit more of the real Tyler Tanner, where he's got command of the offense. He's playing at ball screens every time down the floor, and from the moles in the gym, the returns on him and Frankie Collins playing next to each other were pretty stellar as well. And I don't know that stellar is necessarily the right word to use there, but the comfortability was something that people in the gym thought highly of in that case. And I would guess that Vanderbilt is going to continue to use that lineup. Mark Byington liked it against Virginia. Seems like he had some reason to like it again tonight. Something different from Virginia. Jalen Washington, only 6 points against Virginia, 8 rebounds in that game. That was the stat of the night for him. But Mark Byington said he played below his level in that game, post-game. Today I thought he was much better. Heard some good things about his ability to get in and out of the pick and roll. Didn't hear a ton about him playing on the perimeter. He did hit a mid-range jumper on the baseline at one point of the game, but I think really you're starting to see him settle in a little bit. I thought he was better in a lot of ways tonight. Still a slow night for Mike James in a lot of ways. I think at some point in non-conference play, you're probably going to see the Mike James game where he kind of shows what we talked about, where if it all comes together for him, he could be the best player on the floor. I don't know that he's quite there yet, but I still think he's a valuable piece. 5 points tonight. Mason Nicholson had a nice night as well, really efficient. I think that was a game kind of designed for Mason Nicholson in a lot of ways, where kind of a mid-major opponent, was a mid-major opponent, but mid-major size, things along those lines, where he can really use his size to his advantage. Good game for him as well. Read through some of my takeaways just to make sure we're not missing anything here. I think, here's a takeaway I should have hit earlier. Vanderbilt went 10 deep tonight. The 11th guy appeared to be Chandler Bing rather than Jaden Leverett, which surprised me a little bit. I think necessity is probably going to change that down the stretch here. I think Bing got into the game before Leverett and before Jalen Dean Vines. I think there's a pretty decent gap right now in playability between the other two freshmen and Dean Vines. I think there's some developing to do there. But I do think Bing maybe has asserted himself a little bit more. He had the N1 tonight, which you can see on Vandy's Twitter. But that's the 11th guy, kind of besides the point. I thought Byington kind of trimmed his rotation a little bit today, and to me it looked like it was 10, or sounded like it was 10. And it felt like that was kind of what they were rolling with. I don't think the starting lineup is exactly the same. Obviously, Devin McLaughlin's going to start probably instead of AK, but other than that, it did feel somewhat normal, and it's only going to be normal-ish in an exhibition game, but you feel like Byington was kind of tightening up a little bit relative to what he did in the Virginia game, at least, where there's a lot of Carter Lang versus Jaden Leverett matchups. I don't think it's going to be that. And I don't think it was that tonight. I think that was probably an indicator that they're kind of rounding into form here. And if they start the season, it kind of sounds like they're ready. I thought they showed everything they needed to tonight. 2 7-0 runs in the first half. Obviously, a UAB 7-0 run, I think, raises a question or two. But guys, they won by 22 points tonight. I don't have a whole lot of qualms. They threw it out of bounds a couple times. Mark Byington said post-game that they're a work in progress. If that's the work in progress, I think it's a pretty good team. Exhibition season, a resounding success for this Vanderbilt team. Tyler Harris missed tonight's game, and I think that's the maybe one negative, but from what I've heard, from what Kevin Ingram said on the broadcast, mostly precautionary. In that way, I would assume that he'll be back for the opener. Frankie Collins appears to be acclimating towards full health again, so you feel like this team in a good spot as they head into the November 3rd opener against Lipscomb. Some have called it the Joey Dwyer game. We're going to stray from that for now. This is not about me, but I've heard those messages. I will say, though, I think the exhibition stuff you can often misconstrue in a lot of ways. We heard Vanderbilt just kick Oklahoma's butt the year they went 9-23, and everyone in that program thought, man, they're pretty good. Malik Presley was creating his own shot. They had just gone and beat West Virginia up at West Virginia and really flexed their muscles by posting a highlight reel of it. I don't know that that experience completely jades me from thinking that this is a productive night, but I do think it's one that allows you to think that maybe you've got to take it with a grain of salt. For now, though, I don't have any qualms with what Vanderbilt showed in exhibition season. Time for the real thing, though. We'll have some content preseason. I'm sure Byington will talk. Dylan and I, or Graham and I, will probably get something out. But just wanted to get on here and kind of share some insight that I had learned, maybe how I contextualize the things along those lines. But for now, I'm Joey Dwyer. Thank you guys for watching. God bless, and we'll talk to you tomorrow from College Game Day. Talk to you guys later. God bless. Peace.